Okay.
What? You gotta pull out your drugs right as soon as we start.
Yeah. Welcome to episode number 11 of PodSpill with me, Lil Albuterol. Sitting next to me.
Hey, pass that around.
I'm joined by Malcolm and Soren.
Hello.
We've taken a hiatus because sick.
Yep, and busy.
But now we're back.
Bronchitis or something?
Do I have bronchitis?
Yeah.
No.
What did you just say?
Try not to cough. It's allergies. So, we have a couple of different things we'll be talking about today. Let's start with Star Wars Corner.
John Star Wars Corner.
We need like a
yeah, so the second trailer dropped, which actually, out of all the shit that kind of we've been hearing about the movie, it actually kind of makes me feel good about it. Yeah. But then again,
trailers never lie either.
Yep.
They're always an accurate representation and not the cherry-picked best parts of the movie.
Yeah.
Nope. So that's kind of concerning, but it still looks kind of cool, and I think we all kind of agreed that Donald Glover's going to act his ass off to potentially save this movie, so we're going to watch Lando Calrissian, have an actual plot besides betraying them.
I think Woody Harrelson's the one who's going to save the movie.
I think so, too.
I think Woody Harrelson's
I think the two of them
the actor that can bring people in.
Yeah.
Because what was the last Planet of the Apes? Was it War of the Planet of the Apes, or was it...
Yeah,
those movie names confuse me a lot.
Yeah, I know. And whatever the last one was, where it was humans versus apes, and it was this weird ideology, but turns out he's just an extremist group, and the other party's just an extremist group too, and the monkeys wipe them all out with an avalanche. But no, he in that movie was crazy good. I've always loved him in pretty much anything he's been in.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything I've hated him in.
I think the first Woody Harrelson movie I saw was Zombieland.
Okay.
Have you seen Natural Born Killers?
That movie makes me feel weird.
No.
It makes you confused. With the feelings you feel.
Yeah. I watched it and I just felt... I think I was watching it with my dad and I was like, so I'm going to go to my room. This makes me feel uncomfortable.
Ponder whether or not I'm going to participate in the plot of the movie.
Jesus Christ. But, okay, so I guess the thing, about Han Solo now is kind of, to reiterate what Soren just said, I feel better about it. It doesn't seem like it's going to be such a pile of shit, from, I don't know, the last few months of just rumors and stories.
Speak up, John.
Sorry. Okay. Rumors and stories. But now I feel like it's become really predictable on what's going to happen. I don't think there's going to be really any surprises.
Well, hold on. Okay. This is what all Star Wars fans said about Rogue One, and then the general reaction was, I really didn't think they'd die at the end, and and all the Star Wars fans were like, but we all kind of knew this was the mission, and it was a suicide mission to begin with.
I feel like no Star Wars fans I knew had that reaction. It was just the general public.
Yes, that's what I was saying. Yeah, the general public was like, "Oh shit!" I love the movie, but I can't believe they died. And then the Star Wars fans were like, "Yeah, that was the whole point of this was a prelude to Episode 4, and there were certain things that we already knew happened if you paid attention."
Twist was when they show up on the Tantive. On Leia's ship, right? I didn't think.
I didn't think it. That was the only thing.
And Tarkin showing up blew my mind, and then I had to question whether or not he was dead. But the dude was definitely dead.
Yeah, Peter Cushing is fucking dead.
Yeah.
No, please.
I was just gonna say, I think it's always gonna be all these movies that have come out, whether or not you like them. I think everyone can agree. They're just beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
They're still great.
The video game was beautiful.
Yeah.
The Star Wars movies were beautiful. Nothing looks this good.
Yeah.
And then I told you guys before this, I just lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
What did I just say right before this?
You were talking to us about how beautiful all the Star Wars movies and games are
go
in
back
recent.
Around. There was something else.
In terms
before the podcast started.
Before God.
Oh,
we've been sitting in this room for
an hour. Yeah.
That's probably my issue. I need to sleep.
Well, I don't know. I agree with you that I think regardless, as long as we're getting Star Wars content, I'm happy.
Yeah.
We've already talked about that once in terms of my ideas and the EU and all that.
Sure.
But it's cool to kind of see young Han Solo kind of figure it out in the world and try and know what his role is in the galaxy. And I'm really interested to see what Emily Clark, right?
Yeah.
What her characters, or Amelia, what her character's kind of going to do with Han Solo's characters in terms of like, is there going to be like a philosophy that's imprinted on him and then she gets killed and like forever loses his like first love or something, or is it going to be like something like maybe Woody Harrelson dies, because they did say like in that trailer it was like if you
never trust anyone and you'll never assume they're gonna betray.
And I wasn't sure, was that Woody Harrelson? Was that
That's
Donald?
Woody Harrelson.
Okay. And then someone else said like if you choose to do this, then you're in this life forever.
That was Woody Harrelson.
Okay, yeah.
He's the mentor figure.
Yeah, so like one of them is gonna die, and I think it'll leave like, or most of them except for maybe Lando.
Are we doing predictions?
I'd like to.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
So I'm gonna lead off on that then.
Okay.
So remember what my issue was with it: the fact that at the end of the day, he has to become Harrison Ford's Han Solo.
Sure.
Which, so basic movie plot, right? Maybe kind of a scumbag turns into a really good guy at the end. What I think happens is Amelia Clark betrays them at the end of this movie, kills Woody Harrelson.
Ooh.
And that is why Han Solo does not care about anyone. Because he loved her, she betrayed him, explains why Woody Harrelson is gone.
Fucking perfect.
Also just explains why Han Solo is Han Solo, which I feel like is the biggest thing they have to overcome.
That's the movie right there.
That's my...
I am all in on that theory. 100%.
Motherfucker.
I haven't, just based off of what we just said, I haven't read any online theories. I'm sure someone else posted that like 6 months ago. That is what I think is about to happen.
Wow. Okay, so just to be a contrarian prick. So, what if... Okay, I'm putting shit together. So, the thing that... not Harrison Ford. Woody Harrelson said, everyone betrays somebody eventually.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. Yep.
So, what if...
Woody betrays,
fucking kills Amelia Clark for some reason, and then Alden Ehrenreich, because Han Solo's like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
And then like has to kill his mentor, kind of like a master-student thing.
So I think that would work as well, but I think Harrison Ford, I mean, he's reluctant to love someone, and I think it flows better emotionally if the reason he doesn't want to like care about people is because the person he loved the most betrayed him. That's why Woody Harrelson doesn't. It still gets the same thing. Yeah. But I mean, you're just more love interest just makes more sense.
It's more compelling.
And
plus you got to explain what happened to Amelia Clark.
It makes sense
Why wasn't she in 1979?
That's true.
But like Star Wars really hasn't done too much stuff yet with. I guess the only thing that they have done is Emperor Palpatine and Anakin in terms of a mentor betraying the student in a way that is that earth-shattering to the character in the future. So it'd be interesting to kind of see like John's kind of idea to see like how that works out. But honestly, how it's going to be romanticized. Donald Glover's in there trying to make, sexual remarks to that robot and stuff, because he was like, "Come on, baby," and it's like that literally looks like what's her name from
Billy
Power
B.
Rangers? What's that robot from Power Rangers?
Oh, God. Z, right?
Yeah,
I know just what you're talking about.
Whoever that is.
Looks just like her.
Yeah, just like with more of a less costume version, more CGI. But like
Alpha 5.
No Alpha 5.
No Z anywhere in that name.
Yeah, kind of look like Alpha 5.
Wow.
But one thing
I wouldn't have pulled that reference.
I know
that was good.
Malcolm is not a huge Donald Glover fan, and I listen to his shit on the reg, as the kids say. But I'm really hoping that there's going to be some sort of foreshadowing to a rocky relationship between Lando and Han Solo that kind of foreshadows him betraying them on Cloud City.
I say Lando betrays them early on in the movie.
I think
there's going to be a lot of betrayal. I think there's going to be a lot of betrayal. I think because, you know what? When he got betrayed, if someone sells you into basically like death, Han Solo did not seem too terribly like he's like, you're kind of a prick, man.
Yeah.
I think that's the relationship they have. I mean, he wins the Millennium Falcon from Lando.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's just going to be kind of the dynamic is like, hey, we're friends, but we're also piles of poo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big piles of poo.
Scoundrels, for sure.
Bantha fodder.
It's John Star Wars Corner.
So what do we... So how do we think the movie begins?
I'm not gonna. I don't know.
Opening scene.
I think there's too
him
much.
driving around the streets.
Yeah.
Segue into explanation that he was kicked out. Either that or they start with him being kicked out.
That opening scene is going to be like that land speeder with the purple. I'm pretty sure those twin ion engines.
Do we think that he saves Chewie at all?
Yes, I think that's what it leads to. In like the first 20 minutes, he saves Chewie. That's why he's surprised Chewie is so old in the trailer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of one-liners.
There's a lot of things they're going to have to check off real quick if they want to. That's why a prequel to a character who was already introduced is hard, because like all that backstory was just kind of assumed, and now you got to check off all this random crap, like Chewie owing him a life debt and all that.
Yeah. Okay. And also in this trailer we see another Wookiee, and people are acting like that is Chewie's wife or something like that.
Chewie.
No, I don't think Chewie has kids.
Chewie's on Kashyyyk in episode 3 is you guys
probably don't enslaved?
I don't think he gets enslaved.
No,
he's like a freedom fighter.
Yeah. Because actually, when Yoda leaves Kashyyyk in episode 3, there's a scene where they show the chief of the Wookiees and then a very, very young, which still looks like normal Chewie.
Right.
Watch him and like send him off, and like even Yoda's like, "Thank you, Chewbacca," and everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, all those little fan references really messed up the timeline. So episode 3 is 19 years before Rogue One, which makes it 19 years before A New Hope, and we decided that Han Solo is probably like early 20s, right?
Yeah, or he could.
So this is like 9 to 10. This is very bad math. Like 10 years before episode 4 also. So like 9 years after episode 3. So Chewbacca's 9 years older.
He did say he's 103, so he'd be like
190.
I heard 103 in
the
trailer.
90.
Okay. All right.
And so and also Chewbacca's mission. After episode 6, Chewbacca and Han Solo go to free the Wookiees on Kashyyyk is their mission. So you can say he's probably just working on that.
Is that canon or is that?
That's canon.
That is canon.
Okay.
That's definitely canon. That's it's alluded to.
Is that Battlefront 1?
I think it might be in the second one. I think they mentioned putting it in Battlefront 2 as a DLC. But it's also mentioned in one of the books that I read, and for a life of me, I can't remember which one because I've read like 4 that are canon.
Okay.
Including an encyclopedia.
Okay. Right.
I love those visual dictionaries. God, they're good.
Are they really expensive?
No.
Really?
Not
I really recommend getting the artwork from episode
1 through 6.
8.
Oh.
Specifically, it's all beautiful. I haven't got it. That is expensive, the artwork book. I think it's probably like $50.
But like the visual dictionary.
Visual dictionaries you can get on Amazon usually fairly cheap.
That's not bad.
You just gotta make sure they're the canon ones now, right?
Oh, fuck. All right.
But they definitely release.
That's when I learned that Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber is powered by individual power cells rather than one big one.
Fuck you.
Yep.
All right.
I always think it's funny when we started the podcast. John's first comment was, "I thought I was a nerd," and then we started talking.
And
it made me feel really insecure about my nerd.
Well, yeah, no, that's fine. Go ahead and just.
I didn't go out a lot.
Oh God. Okay, was that it for Han Solo?
I think so. I think we got some good predictions out the way. I think Malcolm pretty much nailed.
Yeah.
Well, between the two of you, it's pretty much interchangeable. Yeah. I hope they go that route. I can understand why they go that route as well. I think they did enough with like the mentor stuff anyway.
Plus, Woody Harrelson's like a really predictable guy to portray someone, right? Like it's Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
So
I think he's going to be a good guy in this one because I think he's been litany of bad people.
All right, so we want to move on to some Switch gaming news.
Oh, I'm all in on the Switch now.
Let's do it.
So I recently got Dragon Quest Builders, which is essentially like an updated Minecraft, and I say that like fuck all the Minecraft people. Just because they got all the combat right, they're actually putting like kingdom like building quests within there to like give people their own rooms and like make an actual functioning town instead of a dirt city. And I think that's kind of cool. It's cool to see a different take on a builder that's actually using a different game's lore like that. But I just love the fact that the Switch has just kind of been bringing a lot of like attention to older games, because of the portable aspect of it. Being able to take that around is like probably the coolest aspect of the Switch, and being able to play like games like Skyrim and Dark Souls is coming to the Switch.
Wow.
Fury, which is this crazy kind of boss fighting game with a crazy soundtrack and beautiful color schemes. And then, Stardew Valley's on there, which is, Malcolm said it has picked up even more because it's on the Switch. Mario Odyssey killed it. Fucking Breath of the Wild killed it.
Yeah.
Like, even...
I think I've been fucking around. I need to get a Switch.
Yeah,
I think the Switch is about to hit a wall.
I'm waiting for that too.
Here's why I think it's going to hit a wall. I think the reason those indie games they ported, and Doom's going to be the outlier here because Doom did pretty well.
And I forgot to say, Doom is fucking nuts.
But then again, Doom didn't get enough credit when he came out. I think it was the original issue, and I think that's why he did well.
Yeah.
I think that the games that are going to continue to do good on the Switch are going to be the indie Stardew Valley-like games that are just really casual and laid back. And I think the second Dark Souls and those kinds of games go, you know what? Reboots are doing great. We're going to switch it up. I don't think they're going to do very well because I think there's two kinds of people. There might be like little outlying pockets. There's the family people who always buy Nintendo. And then there's the more serious gamers who appreciate the indie games that are relaxing, that aren't combat-heavy games. Which Breath of the Wild had combat, it was not a combat game. Everyone I know who played Breath of the Wild spent way more time climbing mountains than going
and figuring out how to mess with goblin physics.
And I think the issue is that the Switch doesn't have the power to do AAA combat games. And Dark Souls, when you read what they're doing with Dark Souls, it's not a full remaster because they can't physically do a full remaster on the Switch. And that's gonna be the wall. I think Skyrim already out on the Switch. I don't know.
Oh yeah. It came
is.
Out a while ago.
But like that one, I think everyone
they
realized
like it,
this
and
isn't the
that's just
PlayStation
Skyrim.
remaster. I bought the PlayStation remaster because I'm like, oh, there's like an obvious jump in quality, runs really smooth. And I think the more they're doing stuff, I mean, one, your first issue is you already have to buy a 128 gig expansion pack for the memory because it's 13 gigabytes.
It's very low.
It can't hold a whole game.
It can hold. I had it hold Breath of the Wild.
Did you?
That? Yeah, it was Breath of the Wild, and then I could do.
You had to hold the downloaded copy of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I had downloaded copy of Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart, and then pretty much after that, I had to play if I wanted to put an extra game on there. Like I couldn't put the Monopoly game we got on there. I couldn't have certain save files for Mario Odyssey, which I had the cartridge for. But I could get Breath of the Wild on, and I got the Mario Kart.
Yeah, but so I mean, I think.
But I still had to buy the expansion for all the other shit I just got.
Everyone saw Stardew Valley, Doom. All those there's like a list of indie games.
I went through. They have 560 something games on the marketplace right now, which most of them are kind of these indie games that you have never heard of. And if you kind of take some time and look through some of them,
Gungeon, Celeste, Snipperclips is the only exclusive game that's kind of cartoony.
Yeah,
that came out right away. It's one of the most fun co-op games I've ever played. Abby gets really mad at it though.
Yeah,
Terraria, all these games that are coming, small experiences that I think people who had consoles before didn't bother with. I think these all sold well on PC.
Yeah, all of them did.
Super
really
Meat
well
Boy did good on Xbox 360, but most of them, most people who have consoles are there for Dark Souls and Call of Duty and that stuff. And people who had Switch, who have kids, like these small experiences. And Stardew Valley is one of the there's just never an end to it.
I saw a picture of someone playing. It was a farmer on his tractor.
Playing
Stardew Valley.
Have you guys played Stardew?
I've only seen it. I'm trying to get Mercedes in. Because all you do is just fucking. There's no combat really, right?
There's the goos that you fight, but the combat is literally just whack, 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 eat a carrot. But basically, you wake up every morning, take care of your farm stuff like a good farmer would, because if you neglect it, you lose it. And then you're clearing land to build new places. You build You have a relationship meter with every single person, all 27 or 30 people in the town.
Wow.
The town's living. There's a desert area I haven't even gotten close to. All the crops are rotational, so depending on the season.
And that's
a deep farming simulator that you're like, why is all this in this little pixelated indie game?
And on the Switch, you can take that anywhere. And that's what I love about the Switch and why I totally agree with you, why I do think that the wall is coming, because once they do port all these games over, there is a definite difference in the quality of the Breath of the Wild when you play it on the dock and when you play it on the... Oh, yeah. And so whenever you do that, like even Dark Souls is going to take a huge hit with combat, with frame rendering. It's going to be like it's an updated version regardless, but it's still going to be the issue. And that's kind of been Nintendo's MO for a while. It's that they push old technology in a new way, but it's still not as high quality ever as the other big
I think the GameCube was the only time they attempted to compete.
Yeah,
and they were already years behind.
Yeah. And then they decided to say we're doing compact disc to micro discs or whatever it was.
And then they always pick the. I think Nintendo's always limited by the fact that there's always that group. I don't travel with games. I've always had a Game Boy. I've never really enjoyed a Game Boy. Like whenever I get excited and I get Pokemon, I'm like, oh, this is fun. I play for 3 days. And it's like, I'd honestly rather browse Reddit on my phone than carry around a 3DS in my pocket and pull it out. And the Switch is the same way. I've only taken it places twice, which is kind of sad for the portable. Mainly the only time it comes out is when I'm playing PlayStation and Abby wants to play like Mario or something. But other than that, I'll play Breath of the Wild sitting there with my two, they're not nunchucks, whatever they're called.
Yeah, and see, I do the opposite, honestly. The only time we put the Switch on the dock is if we're playing together on the big screen to play some sort of game like Mario or Mario Kart or any of the Mario games. Because I take mine to work. I take it sometimes if I go over to my friend's house or my family's house or something if we're not doing anything crazy. Because, Zelda, to me, that's why I got the Switch. Because, being able to take that part of my life around, because Zelda has always been like that one game I've relied on to this is, if I want a good game to play, I can replay any of the Zeldas and be happy. And so to be able to take that sort of around at whenever I want, that's pretty nice.
How have they not brought more Zeldas to the Switch is my question. I miss
because they blew their load all over the Wii U HD remakes.
I've heard the two Zeldas that were Wii U exclusive.
Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
Wind Waker was it?
Yeah.
Was it?
For Wii U, yep.
What was the GameCube one?
Wind Waker for GameCube, and then they remade it in HD.
Oh, I mean, they made an exclusive one for Wii U, right?
Yeah, Skyward Sword.
Yeah, I've heard that one is really good.
No, Skyward Sword.
Twilight something.
Twilight Princess was also on GameCube and Wii.
Was it?
And then Hyrule Warriors was the only one that actually came out for the Wii U that was a Zelda game for the Wii U. And then they did drop Breath of the Wild on the Wii U as well, which I bought because I didn't have a Switch by then. So, yeah. $120 on Breath of the Wild. Oh, and the DLC. Fuck.
God, Soren.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that I would ever buy a Switch for right now anyways, I obviously would play that other stuff, but the thing that makes me want to buy one is Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And I've just seen a lot of playthroughs of it.
And see, that's what I originally thought. I thought I was buying this machine to play Zelda. And in the past, generally, they have released Zelda titles with the console to boost sales. And it's done well. And generally, it's the Zelda machine. And then Mario Odyssey came out. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And I love Mario Odyssey. Zelda's, to me, still better. But, fuck. I didn't realize that they were trying to really go all in. And then I got to play a demo of ARMS, and I was like, this is kind of a fun, casual game.
But then you have to drop $80 on the second set of Joy-Cons. $80 for the controllers. So you can buy Pros for $20. You can use one Joy-Con at a time. And you can do that with ARMS. But why? What's the point of having a...
And I think that is Nintendo's replacement of microtransactions for Xbox and PS4 games. Most of them don't do any sort of DLC for. I don't know. They
revved out some of those DLCs, the DLC pack that was go find this special saddle.
Oh yeah, no. For Breath of the Wild, the DLC pack sucked.
I think it's because Zelda can't make. I don't
good
think
DLC. Yes.
Nintendo. I don't think Nintendo can make those controllers cheaper. Is the issue.
I'm just saying, like, I think like they don't. You don't have to pay for any sort of like internet service for them. You don't have to. Oh, is that coming?
It's because it's not complete. You don't have to pay for it because it's not full service.
Yeah, because I just also noticed that the only app I think up right now on the Switch is Hulu, and I just downloaded it.
At the end of this year, you'll start having to pay for the online service. And the thing that bothers me about it is they're doing the free games because it's kind of standard, right? But last I heard, and there's a lot of blowback, so they might have changed it, was that you don't get to keep the games. You get the game for that month. That's it. End of the month. Game's gone. Which, you know what, Nintendo, I feel like is a little ridiculous for someone who can't even launch a console with the online capabilities ready. Yeah. And they're giving it to us for free. I'd be really mad if I had paid for it, an early access version of online. But like most of the games don't even have capabilities that would really matter. Mario Kart, they don't. The other thing is, why would I pay for that? Because other than Mario Kart, what would I play online?
Exactly.
Nothing. Splatoon is the only
and
other
even
game.
then, Splatoon.
And I feel like once again, that's Nintendo's it's gonna be like the Wii. It's gonna kind of fizzle.
Nintendo's like a weird company to me.
Very much so.
Because it's like, do y'all like listen to anybody, or like do you like market?
It's because they listen to Japan.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and that's the thing that will always be is. All the stuff they do works so well in Japan that it doesn't even matter. I mean, people still buy the Switch, but what I tell you is if you're only buying it for Breath of the Wild is incredible. I'd wait for a sale. Yeah. I wouldn't, because as soon as I got Breath of the Wild,
I agree.
Abby had finished it, and I had only played like an hour or two of it. I sold it. Like, I'm never going to come back to that. Eric was the same way. He had Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. And he actively refused to play Breath of the Wild until he was done with Odyssey because he knew that as soon as he played Breath of the Wild, and he was right, he's done with Mario Odyssey. Mm-hmm. And he's almost done with Breath of the Wild. I don't know if he'll go back to Super Mario Odyssey. Since he started playing Breath of the Wild, I don't think he's mentioned playing Odyssey.
And that's kind of how I was when I started playing Breath of the Wild too. There was no other game like that I even cared about until I got to the point where I already did everything for the most part, and all I had left was and I didn't give a shit about collecting 999 pieces of shit because that's what they are.
You can't track them anywhere. Yep. Can you do anything with those? I still have them all. I haven't done anything. I've done
Setsua. I think his name is Setsua or something like that.
Oh, does he keep selling you stuff?
Yeah, he keeps giving you item slots.
I haven't talked to him at all.
He's at where the Master Sword is, so just go back to
I've literally not spoken to him, and I have...
You should do that.
So many...
The game's been hard for you then.
So frustrated. I carry like 6 weapons, and 3 shields, and I've killed 3 divine beasts. 3 divine beasts.
That is actually even more impressive.
Because I keep losing my weapons, and I'll be doing boss fights with like a fucking wood sword, and I'll throw it at him, and it'll break. I'm like, yeah.
Holy shit.
I scared you. I buy so many arrows because that's all I can carry.
Wow.
I win fights with arrows. I can't.
It's very
I use the Master Sword and arrows, and I carry boomerangs because I think they're so much fun.
Huh.
But I know my weapons will all break, and I'll be stuck.
Well, there you go. Just sit there for a while saying you want more weapons, and he'll just give you more weapons.
That's great to know. I was so frustrated. I knew there had to be something. I knew you bought something from him right at the beginning of the game. You get something.
He says after that conversation that he's going back to the forest to wait for you, and if you need to buy anything there, then come meet him. And then at that point,
was so long ago.
Right? Yes, exactly. And at that point, when you learn about that information, you're not even to Kakariko Village to learn what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, you don't know what's. It's literally.
And you don't even know there's like 6 other continents to go explore.
And they don't. And then I heard the rumor that there's a sword in a forest. And I went to like 3 forests. And Eric went to more forests. One day he said, dude, I figured out where the Master Sword is. He doesn't use any name, so he doesn't spoil it for me. Because I figured out where the Master Sword is. I'm going on an adventure. And his wife watches him play the game, so he only plays when she's watching. And like a day later, he goes, almost through the forest. I got distracted again. And then and the next day I text him. I'm like, hey, you got the Master Sword then? He goes, nope, wrong forest.
I bet he went to the dark one.
I don't know which one he was in because I never went back and asked him. But I traveled.
You can spend some
like 3/4 of the map, and then And once you figure out which forest it is, you're like, no shit.
And
it's that one.
Even when you have an adventure going on, there's like 3 dragons in the world where they'll just pop up out of the fucking blue and you'll be like, and then you want to go shoot his ass because you get cool shit from it. So then you forget what you're doing.
And right now I'm trying to get the last tower. And there's this mission where you have to find this giant in the middle of these fucking mountains. In the middle of the snow where you're going to die from the snow.
Yep.
There is a statue, apparently. And if you take a picture of the statue, I can get my sand shoes finally. All I want is my sand boots, John. I just want my sand boots.
Yeah, see,
and I can't find the statue. I found a hole where I think the statue was at one point.
But you see, Breath of the Wild, Nintendo, they're doing a good job, but I do agree with you. I think that once you port over hardcore gaming games, there's going to be an issue.
And Doom was such a low quality game to start. It was such a great game that's so low quality. I have it on PlayStation. Yep. And that's why it ported just fine. And the diehard fans, I feel like most of them already had a Switch because they all bought it.
Oh yeah, and then when you what's so weird though for me is that you can essentially it's just portable violence. Because Doom's
it's the most graphic game I've ever played.
I
punched a hole through a dude's chest.
A fucking dude's chest. You take a saw and you just saw him right in half, and they're just like, oh no, and you just watch their arms, just like, and I'm like, little kids are with their Switches, and I'm just like, I'm playing this guy, getting
that instead of Grand Theft Auto, they should use Doom as the poster child for violence.
It seriously,
Grand Theft Auto's always been,
but people have a harder time with like. That's not real stuff. Yeah. So whenever Judeo-Christian ethics are threatened with drugs and sex and Grand Theft Autos.
That's the go-to.
But Payday is a good example. Payday just came over, and Overkill's the worst porters in the world. Because every time they put a game on consoles, they just stop updating it. I should have known better, but I thought Payday do. Even though it's way behind computers, and they just don't respond to like basic requests like, hey, Overkill, you going to give me voice chat at some point?
Yeah.
Nothing? The computer has... And everyone's like, why don't you just use their keyboard type stuff? I'm like, because consoles don't have keyboards, see? Like, that's the response on the board. Like, buy it on a computer. Well, they fucking made it for PS4, didn't they? So I bought it on the PS4. But they ported it over to the Switch. More outdated than the outdated console one. Didn't tell anyone, by the way. Like, just don't admit that it's super old.
Wow.
And we're just like, here you go.
My friend Justin loves Payday, and I tried to play it once or twice. I hate it.
It's a cluster. I guess the first one was way more realistic, and I had played the first one. And then my family, that was going to be like the game my dad, Ian, and I played. And it's fun. But at a certain point, you're just carrying the bags around to throw places, and that's fine and all. But the level up system, like, I'm like I gotta be close to level 100 at this point, and I have some cool perks. But the guns, I ran out of cool guns to buy. I bought a sniper rifle, like an anti-tank sniper rifle, and it's like, where are the tanks? Oh, they're in like 2 maps, and that's the only gun I get. Great, you gave me 15 bullets, and then other than that, I use my pistol. No, I'm good.
Wow.
Yeah, but final thought on the Switch. I'm really glad they're doing all this shit. I think maybe in the future, the Switch is going to get cheap enough that they're just going to start using the Switch as the new Game Boy.
Okay.
I think the 3DS and all that stuff is going to die out after the Switch's popularity and the reception of it.
Yeah.
And then they're going to update and do like Switch 2D or whatever the fuck they did for the 3DS to get us a better version of it, more updated console with all the bugs kind of fixed a little bit more.
Yeah, which is kind of a shame. I really like the 3DS, but
I
think that
but I think
a natural
now,
progression.
Yep, it's just the screen's bigger and it's the same sort of portability and the same sort of cartridges. So
I think Nintendo's about to get out of the console game. I think they're about to be done making at-home next-level consoles. I don't see what's the next gen Switch, right? Like you said, it makes sense to make it.
This is the pinnacle.
I think this is gonna be what they're gonna. This is the Wii again. When the Wii came out, it was the best-selling fucking console ever.
But then it was a piece of shit.
And it was a piece of shit. But the reason why it was a piece of shit is because they pushed on motion controls. So that's the thing with Nintendo is that they innovate at the cost of quality gaming experiences because most of their games aren't necessarily meant for the big wig reviews until they come out with masterpieces.
I think the Switch was their
Odyssey.
Their last thing that could. It made sense, right? The Wii issue with the Wii, you can't play regular games, really, unless you buy like special stuff. Then it was like the Wii U, you can play regular games, but it's like, okay, but now I don't get the motion. So then it's like, okay, we made the Wii U, but we made it so you can take away the handles, so you can do both.
Right.
And then they put out a bunch of like pro gaming controllers, which are just controllers, and that made sense. And now it's like, so we're just gonna keep making the Switch better?
Yeah. Which, hey, that's what fucking Xbox and everyone else is. So maybe now we.
Great, but the jump's getting bigger, right? Like the difference between a PS4 Pro and a Switch, graphically and power-wise, is massive.
Yeah.
The Wii U was the biggest difference, but that's just because the Wii U was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And the CEO of Nintendo owned up to the Wii U, just
they
being
did.
garbage.
Yeah, they were like, we fucked up on the U.
Didn't blame anyone else. He's like, just missed the boat on that one.
Yeah, bad.
We wanted to be innovative. We missed the mark, and now we got the Switch. And
that's the danger with Nintendo, is they keep. If you're changing everything every time, how do you know?
When the Wii U went out there, all their stock fucking plummeted. But when the Switch came out, when the Switch came out, everyone their stock plummeted at first, and then when the reception was really good, they're fucking.
That's because when it first came out, like was Odyssey, what was released with it?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And I don't think Zelda's super recognizable, but I don't think it's a. If you have a Nintendo, you get Zelda. But I knew more people who were like, Mario, I love Mario.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy a Switch to play Mario. And it's like, oh my god,
I think
so
everyone
good.
I think everyone knows is that the core of like hardcore Nintendo fans are Zelda fans, and they're going to buy that immediately.
And you're gonna they get a Switch.
But their big numbers come from fucking putting the Rabbids game and Mario together, or they put fucking Odyssey out there, or they put the Mario games.
Those are the ones that pull in the casual fans, because the Zelda people buy the Switch anyways.
Who are the people? The Mario games are meant for the family consumers, because when you buy Mario Kart for your family, then you're going to also have to buy the $80 because we're assuming there's more than 2 people who are playing Mario Kart. And then with Zelda, it's just one person. Yeah. You don't have to worry about, you buy the Switch, you buy the console, it raises their numbers. That's why they release Zelda games initially with new consoles, because there's a core audience that's going to be like, we're going to buy this fucking no matter what. So it looks like their numbers are good. And then they release masterpieces like fucking Mario Odyssey to get everyone back on board with Mario. Oh, come on. It was beautiful. It's a really great Mario game, but I just... Yes, that's what we're just talking about, Mario games. Yep.
But that doesn't make it a masterpiece.
Of Mario games, I think so. I think it's one of the pinnacle. It's a masterpiece of
Mario games. And that's different than a masterpiece.
I don't know. I think...
Okay, the bar for Mario games recently has been pretty low, right? Like...
Recently.
I think Mario games. Super Mario Maker was super cool, right?
Galaxy's probably the last great Mario game that came out.
Before that, they released Super Mario Sunshine, where you walked around,
which also
water and stuff. It's still a great game, but it's
still heralded as one of the big Mario games. It's one of the top tier.
But
Mario
every
games.
Mario game's heralded as one big Mario game.
I don't know. I think Mario 2 sucked. Mario 2 sucked. If we're talking about a hierarchy of Mario games. Yeah, I'm saying if we're talking about a hierarchy of Mario games, I think Odyssey took everything that Mario did well and put it into one.
And it was easily trumped by Zelda, is my issue.
No one's not saying that Zelda's better.
I think it was just a Mario game. And Mario games are fun and good and not masterpieces.
What's a current game that came out within this year that beats Mario Odyssey?
And what like on the Switch?
Just no, in general, like another game that you think would be a better developed or better.
See, this is an issue because I don't buy games very often.
Of 2018 or 2019 or 2017.
I mean, as far as buzz goes, I feel like Far Cry 5 had just as much buzz in gaming circles as Mario.
Far Cry 5?
As far as like buzz goes around it, yeah.
So this is what came out. We got PUBG, which is kind of its deal. Resident Evil, Zero Horizon Dawn, Wolfenstein 2.
People love both those games.
Nier Automata, Cuphead, Assassin's Creed.
See, I think just like Mario, though, every one of those games has a huge following that's following that kind of game.
I don't think Nier did. I don't think
Nier
Cuphead
Automata?
did.
I think Nier definitely
I think
did.
Assassin's Creed, the only reason why it did well is because they finally said we're actually going to not release a game like the year after we released it.
Assassin's Creed
and they
does
actually
well
tried. That's not true. Syndicate was a fucking failure.
The base Assassin's games. Just like Mario has offshoots, Assassin's Creed has offshoots.
Right, and so I'm saying
Origins
is essentially the Mario Odyssey of Assassin's Creed.
So it's a masterpiece of Assassin's Creed games.
I'm saying that there are games out here that... How do you
I'm saying,
think
in
that
general,
Mario Odyssey
looking back at gaming
ones?
history, you're not going to be like, top games of all time, Super Mario Odyssey. Everyone, looking back, is going to remember Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I don't think
Mario will be remembered anywhere close to it.
Yeah, I think Mario's going to still be up there.
Because, like I said, people dropped Mario for Zelda. People dropped Mario, actually, fairly quickly, I felt like.
Zelda came out first.
And it did, and people would...
Everyone would have already played Zelda before Mario was released, because Mario was released in...
Let's just do
like 3 months after the Switch was released. I don't know. Prey is up here. That was like a BioShock version of
You're not
space.
looking at a strong year of games. I'll give you that.
I thought it was a very strong year of games.
You just
Divinity
said 4
2.
out of the top 10 games you said, I don't think anyone even plays that.
No, I didn't.
You just said that about Nier.
Yeah,
Prey.
No one plays Nier. That's the only one I said. And Prey is one that's good, but wasn't well received. So I'm saying in terms of other games here, I mean, Injustice 2 came out, which was pretty well received. Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice was also pretty good.
Did you like that one? That seems like your kind of...
That was the Steam one where it was like, essentially it's God of War, but with a more dark kind of environment.
Senua's Sacrifice was the
Divinity 2 came out. Neo came out. Call of Duty came out.
We're getting close to the bottom of the list, aren't we?
Well, World War II was still a comeback to the original, which was pretty much really well received because of Battlefront 1.
There's like riots about World War II.
Yeah, I guess, but it was still pretty well received. Battlefront 2, you know. You really don't think it was a good year for games?
I think it was all right. I think, looking back, PUBG and Breath of the Wild are the 2 games you named. Aren't people like upset about
but I'm just saying,
now, like about what they're putting out about it?
What?
There was something about World War II, the Call of Duty one, that people were... I think people are finally tired of... I think the big complaint is people are realizing they're still paying for Call of Duty games. I'd be upset if I was still buying games.
I just think Mario overall has done a better job at kind of consolidating the franchise and creating a game that is close because it was up for Game of the Year against Zelda. In a way that was a little bit different.
And I will disagree with that assessment.
I'm also saying that Legend of Zelda was a masterpiece too, but
and that wasn't part of the argument. I just don't think Super Mario Odyssey is up there that high.
It's just disappointing.
Be disappointed in me.
Yeah.
God, Dad.
So Malcolm, you saw Ready Player One.
Yeah.
How's that? Was it Easter egg the movie? Like everybody's...
Yeah, it was Easter eggs everywhere.
Of like current pop culture.
Yes. Which, like I said, works really well in the movies, but I still think that... I don't usually do the whole like, well, the book was better. In this case, for me personally, I like the book much better.
Okay.
For the fact that I like the old references.
Okay.
And the old references being 80s and 90s references, right?
Yeah.
And the live action parts of Ready Player One are just not good. Okay. And every time it cut to it, I like cringed. Because in between these really cool animated fights and video games in a movie scenes, there was a forced love relationship, terrible world building. Like as soon as he starts talking for the intro, explaining like where the world's at, you're like, what is happening? I thought this movie was supposed to be good. And that's like the first second of the movie. And then as soon as he goes into the... God, I don't remember what it's called. Goes Oasis, yes.
Oh, the Oasis.
Yeah.
The
You're like, oh my God, this is all insane. They should make more animated movies just like this one. Because I feel like animated movies like they can make some really cool CGI stuff for it, and a lot of times it falls back on like lower budget versions of animated movies. Like, Disney kind of does up their movies.
Sure.
Nowhere near this level.
Well,
and it's great.
Remember when, what was it? It was when Avengers 2 came out. For, I think, that scene with the Hulkbuster and the Hulk when they fought. There was a huge, like, kind of backlash because the general population realized that they're just watching two animated things fight each other.
But I think that's because it was in a live action movie.
Right, and so they're saying like, well, that was just kind of a waste of a scene because it's just two animated things fighting each other. And the reaction back, what was that, when that came out, it was like 3 or 4 years ago or something
13.
Yeah, was kind of negative, which was surprising to me because... pretty much everything at this point has some sort of CG or some sort of something. And then when like they did Tarkin and shit like that and like they animated the fuck out of people, they were like, oh, they did it so well. And so now I think we're seeing kind of an influx within like the next 5 years after that sort of like issue, where people were are now kind of getting on board with this whole idea that virtual reality is a thing. You can create things that are better looking than actual people. And animation has pretty much caught up with essentially real world effects. And so now I think we're going to be seeing a lot more shit that's always going to be some sort of CGI. Like, you don't know at this point what is, you know, post and what is...
I feel like I'm a very snooty CGI person.
You can see if it's badly
I get like
done.
hung up on like...
Of course, we lived in the golden age of terrible fucking CGI.
Yeah. Like, we've watched this evolution start.
And so I think it's easier for us to pick it up.
And that's why I think the new generation of movies is so okay with it.
All of Marvel, I felt like, was like... I always felt like Marvel was just a little behind in the CGI department for their early movies.
And it was always with Hulk. Every time it was with Hulk.
I don't count the Hulk movies in life.
Not even that. It was just like every time you appeared.
That you're talking about, I was too busy being like, oh my god, it's the Hulk.
Yes. And that's what I was like. I was like, this is beautiful and it totally makes sense with the world. And like,
all the Star
it works
Wars
well.
CGI
and then like
perfect.
And like everyone's reaction to it was like, it's CGI. And I was like,
but I think this
make what you saw any less
like,
cool.
Motherfucker, did you see The Rock as a Scorpion King?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Oh, God.
Oh, that was so bad.
But it wasn't when I first watched it when I was little. Yeah. But,
oh, God. I see
but this
that
worked. I felt like this worked well. Yeah, as soon as you said that, it popped in my head.
Oh.
Brendan Fraser, God bless you.
Ooh.
But
I was like
this
7
works
and I knew it was bad.
It's in this world that you kind of, I think everyone, the casual moviegoer was like, oh, it's a video game. That makes sense. And we walked out, and first thing I said was, God, those actors were terrible. God, that movie was cool because of the CGI scenes.
Yeah.
And it threw all these references, and that was all really well done. One little nitpicky thing that I think it could have just been the four of us that were watching this movie was they go through this whole movie, and the company, you can tell from the trailers that the company's trying to kill them, right? The company's trying to win something.
Yeah.
And all this stuff, so they blow up this building, and they're chasing them down, and it happens in the books too. Basically, they're buying people's debt and enslaving them into working for them in the virtual world.
Jesus.
In order to win this competition, because whoever wins controls it's like owning the internet. If you
it's much more dark in the movie than kind of how it's played off in the...
When you see the people, you're like, oh, that's not so bad. But like, if you think about it, you're like, wow.
This content is
like
fun.
Kids. No kid in the audience realized how bad that was, right?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like, it was just slavery. Whatever.
Yeah.
But it gets to the end of the movie, like one of the last scenes, and cops pull up.
Who?
The cops. The cops in this world pull up, and I literally...
Inside the Oasis or inside?
Inside the real world. This is back in the real world. The cops pull up at the end of the movie to kind of resolve the real world portion. And we finished the movie, and I turn to my friend Eric, and I say, I didn't think there were cops in this world, because there are so many moments where there should have been police officers. And they just don't show up. And then they pulled up, and my initial reaction was, oh, there are cops in this world. That makes sense. And he goes, yeah, I almost turned to you in the middle of the movie and loudly yelled, where the fuck? Or he didn't say where the fuck. He said, I almost told you, like, oh, there's police in this world. And it was just like this little moment where everything about the movie was just like, where were you?
Yeah.
I don't think it was a commentary on anything.
No, because that's where I was.
Where were you?
But that was kind of like my issue with the book too. I feel like there was literally, they bombed his stack, his house.
And they kind of explain it away like no one cares about poor people. But even then,
but in the book, they're like in the book they had like heat sensors, and he saw like there was like 10 people or whatever in there, and then they all got fucking blown up. And then like everyone was freaking out in the stacks, and they didn't explain like, and I heard sirens when I left my shop area or whatever. What he said was, and then there were 2 people following me, like, you know, like the company already had like their own version of cops going around
and
everywhere.
And the bad guy's like, no one's going to care if I blow up some kid in Cleveland in the stacks.
And that's like a straight up.
But I thought the company like that is doing this, that kind of runs like the business of the Oasis.
Yeah.
I thought that they had essentially usurped the government. Like, the kind of feel was like this corporation is the government at this point.
Because they own
But then
everything.
the cops show up, and you're just like, wait, so there is
law.
stuff here? Like, it's not just a wasteland at this point. And it's the same thing. It cracked me up because right before we went to this, I was talking to Eric about Logan. Yeah. And he pulled out this little point where he's like, they have all these drones. And the 2 drones that fly over Wolverine at the end when they're going towards the forest, he's like, why not just spread them out and like track everyone through the forest? Super easy, right? And then this movie happens, and they have like an army of drones. They're tracking people with drones. But at one point they raid this building, and the kid, like, they escape out like a side door. And my first thought, because he had just said that, was, why didn't you just put all your drones around the building to watch? Like, that seems really
I don't know.
easy,
I think the whole point is for cops and movies and these kind of things is that they don't want us to think about how shitty it is in the real world. Because as some you know, I'm pretty sure said this a lot too. We eat tragedy for breakfast. So, you know, we see cops shooting unarmed black kids all the time, and we see cops pulling people over for busted taillights for no reason. But, you know, blowing up a fucking building where people live doesn't warrant for the same responses in Ready Player One.
They wanted to like suspend their disbelief.
The guy who plays
whereas like we have 5 different police scanner pages in Topeka alone to let us know all the shit that's going on within our city. Whereas, you know, I don't know, I guess indentured servitude was now okay.
It's fine.
There's one other scene too that really caught me. So it's at the end of the movie. And the guy's like coming. It's once again real world. So the guy's coming to like get the kid. Like personally, he's gonna catch the kid and just one.
Yeah, because that makes sense.
And he pulls up into the stacks, and he gets out of his car, and they're like, "We know it was you that blew up our building." And it's like everyone in the stacks, like just like all these poor people, just like, "We know it was you who did this."
And he's like, "We have guns."
No, it's just him. A gun, singular. He goes, out of my way, and points it in the air, and literally everyone just like hundreds of people just part and like stare at him and then move out of his way. It's like not the intention's pretty clear what he's gonna do with the gun.
So
right?
now
like,
I know how Jesus parted the Red Sea.
And they're just all moving out of his way after the comment of "you better leave before we do something to you." Everyone, all these hard-working like middle-class, blue-collar guys who just work their butt off, like in construction jobs. We're just like,
I'm not tough enough to take down this sissy.
Yeah, man, no, it's all you. It's like this scrawny little corporate guy just walking through them. It's like, no, you go ahead.
He has 8 bullets.
17.
17?
It was a Glock, sir.
Okay.
Yeah,
my bad.
Come on now.
My bad.
8.
Jesus. So basically, what you're saying is go see it, but
go see it for the anime parts, yeah, but don't. I think I had read the book, and I kind of knew from reading the book that it wasn't gonna be able. It just wasn't gonna be able to capture what the book was.
Yeah.
Because the guy's second book couldn't even do it. He did a second book called Armada, which once again it's kind of the premise of like, you know, when we shot all the video games in space, that's what they saw as our culture. So that's what they use when they attack. And it's a pretty good book, but it's kind of It was just like your run-of-the-mill book with video games, which is kind of his thing. It was like when the Martian guy did Artemis.
Every anime now ever is trying to do the RPG online bullshit where it's like, we're stuck in a video game.
Eric said it was I had played .hack, the sword art video game. He said it was basically, I don't know if he said he had watched the whole thing, but he had watched it. It was very similar to that idea.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Ready Player One is going to be cool just because of all the cool references of like current era. Because like even some of the 80s references that they'd said in the book like went over my head because it just wasn't like shit I ever saw. Like even when they reenact War Games. I actually have never seen War Games.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But I knew the character and all that, so that was kind of easy to go with. But like, sometimes I feel like with that scene specifically you have an issue with. Sometimes the CEO of companies just have to come down from their corporate high towers and, get down and, gritty with everyone's, real world issues and things like working and privacy and a few other things, which is going to be the segue.
So yeah,
I don't know even what we're segueing to right
now.
About
Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh,
I tried real hard.
It was really good. I caught it.
I did
because I'm a professional. All right. So Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, so at the time of this recording, it is the 11th. And this is day 2 of Mark Zuckerberg's testimony or like question and answer session with the Senate.
Yeah, a little Q&A.
Yeah, it's a Q&A.
It's an FAQ from the website. He's just doing it in person.
Yep.
And basically, okay, so like the general memes are one that Mark Zuckerberg is a fucking robot. Mm-hmm. Which I kind of agree.
It's been a theory for about the last 10 years.
And
literally since Facebook started.
Like, the second observation is, I don't understand, like, all the fucking, like, outrage all of a sudden. Like, I guess this Cambridge, like, Analytica thing is, like, kind of fucked.
The outrage is that people didn't quite realize that when you sign up for something and it has privacy agreements and you click agreed, that you're pretty much just saying, yeah, go for it. And what's so great is that South Park already did this.
Yes.
And they did this human centipad.
Yes.
With Apple's term of agreements, where literally he clicked OK and he didn't read the term of agreement.
Right.
And now he's been subjected to some sort of human centipede process where he's now eating cuttlefish from some Asian man's ass, and then whenever that happens, the iPad blinks and says, "Yay!"
I mean, right now, like, it's such a weird like world that we live in right now, where it's like, I feel like this has existed for so long.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I feel like this now once shit's brought to the Supreme Court and it's brought to Fox News and it's brought to CNN and it's brought to MSNBC, the general public who doesn't give a shit about these things because they're just consumers, and hey, I am just a part of that consuming branch because I am nothing but a consumer and I have already made terms with that. But I at least try to stay informed on the shit that I'm consuming.
Right.
So it's not a surprise that everyone's like, Facebook can take our shit. I've actually
That's not the issue was that the people who they got information on weren't the people who agreed.
Right.
That was the issue. That's why I was surprised.
And technically, it wasn't Facebook. It was
the Cambridge, the app that went through Facebook that gave permission. The surprise to me, and I was going to delete Facebook. I just literally never got around to it, and this kind of like, okay, I haven't been on 2 months. I can delete it right now. The surprise was no longer do I have the right to be the one to give away my information, which I did a lot without caring because everyone already has that information. Mm-hmm. What bothered me was, okay, my grandma agreed to it. How did my grandma agreeing to something mean you could take my information? Because that was the loophole there's Facebook engineers who have come out like, we know all these things happen. We just don't care. Like, they quit Facebook.
Yeah, pretty much to just say,
but they're like,
something about
no
it,
one cares until you guys care.
Yep.
And then we're like, oh yeah, I get. Okay,
oops,
we can stop people from giving away your info. Yep. That was where the outrage came from. Was like, no longer is it me saying, because anyone who's mad that Facebook has your information and sells it for ads.
Yeah, they need to get over themselves.
Yeah, that ship sailed.
Have you guys done the thing where you looked at your ad and see what they classify you as?
I deleted mine before that came up.
Yeah.
Before that came a thing.
So I didn't even know that was a thing that they were already classifying us for. Which
I probably have it. I have my whole account.
Doesn't that even make more sense of all the stuff?
If you want to see basically all the stuff they have on you, you can download the archive. I archived my account and downloaded it, and it literally every post, picture, thing I've liked. There's like a list in like code. It's ridiculous.
So one of my friends, he got a random text of a picture of a baby saying, finally came, all this stuff, the name, all this different stuff, and he was like, it was a random number. So he was like, sorry, wrong number, don't know, congratulations on your shit or whatever. And we got to talking, and we were just like, yeah, you could just probably look that person up because they sent the text. We don't know who it is. And we were like, why not? So we literally looked them up, typed their number in, and we figured out who it was, figured out where they lived, figured out all that shit. And it was like, you're a Google search away of figuring out how to stalk and pretty much, premeditate some shit. Right. And so it's just like, I think people just don't quite understand that the information is always out there, even though since the inception of social media and how it kind of came about, like MySpace era, you were always warned. What you put up on the internet will stay there forever.
Yeah,
and then it's like, oh shit, like my teacher from like 5th grade actually knew something. Like they actually predicted this in the future.
And that was a reckoning. Yeah.
So I think like a lot of people are like surprised that Facebook's doing this, but it's like
I'm not at all.
Have you never seen like any of the targeted ads? Have you seen the shit that they do with voice right now? If you talk about shit, they're still listening to you.
They are.
Everyone's doing that. They're doing videos of talking about shit that they have no like inclination in their normal life of buying. I've watched there's another video of people doing cat stuff. They don't own a cat, they don't talk about cats, but they started talking about cat food. And of course, when you look up on their Facebook, on the sides there's ads for cat food now.
Yeah.
I've done that too with shit that I've just recently talked about, and I've been like, I just talked about that 3 days ago.
Yeah.
So
our phones are fucking
they also don't realize that there's literally a switch on your phone that turns out.
Yeah.
Because they have to give you that option.
Did you know Snapchat actually tracks your GPS location and your driving tendencies?
That's why I don't have Snapchat.
So does Google Maps.
Yep.
At the end of the month, they send me an email. Look at your month of May, and it shows literally every place I fucking went throughout the month of, or not May, but March. And I'm just like, fuck that.
So when Mark Zuckerberg sits there and he's just like,
oh yeah,
I don't fucking blame the guy.
Neither do I.
But it is kind of, indicative of his personality and really much makes me feel worse for the Winklevoss twins for how douchey they kind of perceive themselves as. But now I'm just like, wow, maybe those two could have actually, been the saviors of our information. But who knows?
You see people wanting him to resign? Like,
probably.
It's like, why would he?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure Mark Zuckerberg's been getting death threats since, I don't know, college.
Yeah. They are talking. Reddit is capitalizing on this. They're trying to find a new Facebook, which is actually working. They took down like a lot of the my favorite was shoplifting Reddit. They took down like a lot of the criminal based ones, and then they changed
to clean up their dark Reddit pages.
They got more ads, and basically everyone's like, get used to this. They're making themselves into a new Facebook, and it'll work because they're talking about like MySpace, how big MySpace was. And when MySpace was huge, no one would have ever guessed that they'd be nothing now. And so like Facebook it's probably getting close, but the way Facebook was smart, as soon as I deleted my account, it was like, well, gotta email every company I've ever used Facebook to log in with to transfer my account over to my email. Yeah. Which is super easy to do, but a super big pain in the butt. And that's one of my things with Spotify, which might as well be run by Facebook at this point, was I was just like, I can use it on my PlayStation, and all of that was logged in through Facebook. My PlayStation account was linked to Facebook. Fuck. Yeah. So I don't have a profile picture anymore. I also don't, I had to the first login, I had to guesstimate what my Facebook password was at the time of creation, because that was the password for the account. Whew.
Yeah.
I've been
my favorite thing right now, which is I'm still very I guess that's an inclination of how many people don't watch cable TV anymore. But they run dark web scan ads on all the time. They're like, do you need to have a quick dark web scan? And I'm like, are we at the point where our information is that at risk that you're running ads during 5 o'clock television? Sure. Yeah.
That's when the Equifax thing happened. That was when those things blew up, like your social security checks and all that. Yeah. Luckily, one of my credit cards was like, yeah, we do that for free. You want us to do that for free? I'm like, yes, please. Every time my credits run, they send me an email.
And I'm kind of glad, like, I don't know, for a while, was last month? Was it last month? Or the month before that, where games were kind of under fire for being the root cause in Republicans' opinions of all the mass shootings that are going on and all that fun stuff.
It was right Stoneman.
But it's just, I think it's so weird to think that there are people that really don't believe that there are effects that can happen, and if you don't watch or if you don't use what's already the ESRB, and if you don't monitor what your kids are doing, it's not an inclination of what the company's doing wrong. It's an inclination of what you as a parent is doing wrong. Right. And if you're not reading the Facebook agreements, and if you're not seeing what your kids are doing on fucking Snapchat, and you're not seeing what they're posting on fucking Twitter, well, you know what? When they finally post something that's outlandish and outrageous, there's going to be some issues. Yeah. And when that happens, you're going to see all these other things. And you can't use mediums and art as a way to scapegoat everything. Right.
Well, it's the same people who like bring their kids to the movie theater or to the restaurant, and like, I know he's screaming, but I can't acknowledge it because that'll encourage his behavior in the future. It's like, that's fine. Don't bring him out.
Yep.
If he hasn't figured out that behavior yet, don't bring him to a restaurant.
Sounds like you need to go see a therapist and see why he's screaming at 10 years old.
Right. Well, we got 30 minutes left. We want a tomato meter it.
Yeah.
Thermometer.
Yeah. The last thing I will say on this Mark Zuckerberg thing that I have found just generally hilarious, and it kind of ties into like all the things that we're saying just about how oblivious everyone is, are all the fucking questions from all these senators. Like, you just listen to that, and then Mark is like taken aback by how fucking stupid they're. Yeah. Like, he's like, well, Senator, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Like, they pay people tens of thousands, $100,000 to be their their advisor for like legislation and stuff. Mm-hmm. You can't. I'm open. So I'll do a deal.
Hire us.
10,000 per senator if it's a group deal, and I will teach you how not to sound stupid.
Lynn Jenkins, you're a monster, but I will work for you.
She's retiring, isn't
she? Is she?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think she announced it.
Whoever's challenging her.
And Ron Paul's not coming up for it anyway, but that's
Ron Paul? Are you talking about?
Sorry, Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan. Sorry.
I was like, I'm pretty sure Ron Paul's still kicking. Rand Paul's the one that's still kicking.
But yeah. So anyways, it's just been really hilarious to watch them speak internet.
Mr. Zuckerberg, tell me where you're staying.
Did you see that the Facebook had donated to something like? It was a ridiculous proportion of the people who were going to question it.
If I was Mark during that question, this would have been my response. Well, if you look at my phone, Google actually asked if I wanted to check in.
Fuck you.
They're doing the same thing, bitches.
I would do the thing that like really douchey people will do with like waitresses where they put the tip out and take money away as they go. Just do that for each senator. Like, what was that? And that's $1 million. He puts his $1 million bill that they custom print for him in his pocket.
I mean, it's just so cringe. And like they try to ask like very smart like gotcha questions, and Mark's like,
no.
This
is how it works.
Maybe the issue is they do have people working for them. And they write these questions, and the senators like reads part of it. Like, I know where this is going. Where do you stay at night? What? Your hotel. Share the address.
Oh my fucking god, he's going rogue.
Remember, I know the FBI.
Shit.
See, and I bet the whole time, like after every question's asked, he just like, sorry. He squints. He sees what their name tag is, writes it down. Says their information's going to Russia. Yeah. He's just slowly getting a list of people who are like asking him these dumbass questions. And he's like, well, I'm gonna fuck your life over now.
Yeah,
guess who's gonna need a deep web scan?
It's just so funny because I know we're all supposed to hate Mark Zuckerberg, and I'm really not a huge fan. But I do feel bad for him during this questioning because it's just like he's clearly a brilliant person, but he just has these people have no idea.
Does he have Asperger's?
I don't
know. Do people know if he's been like, because like I'm like trying to stereotype, but I've heard before that like, his social awkwardness is not just being social. It's not like he's such a higher being.
Well, and then Jesse Eisenberg's just an awkward actor to begin with.
Well, not even before that, there was like articles.
Well, I'm just saying,
what is wrong with this man?
Not a lot of people knew that story until The Social Network. That's why it fucking won. I'm pretty sure it won an Oscar for best movie or whatever the fuck. It won. It was definitely up there for a while for big things. But him as an actor probably just compounded the Asperger's even more.
Oh, it won a lot.
Yeah.
Best writing, best musical score, best film editing, best motion picture, Golden Globe.
Yeah.
Oh, Critics' Choice Awards, BAFTA, National Board of Review Award. That's a real thing.
Yep. Yeah, so it did really well. So I'm sure like the Asperger's part was just compounded because Jesse Eisenberg he just kind of plays the same character each time. And then tries to,
did not win any Oscars.
Do a rendition of the I guess
they win all of this.
A lot of Academy Awards and Golden Globes.
The Golden Globes, Academy Awards, not a single Oscar. That's, I don't know. I don't know anything about this stuff.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, just kind of like looking through like an article about whether or not he has Asperger's or is on the spectrum at all. It just seems like no. It just seems like he's just kind of like an awkward person.
Yeah.
People around him have kind of said he's a robot. And a former colleague, this is from a Washington Post article, says he may have a touch of Asperger's.
Just a little pinch.
This just kind of sounds like people just being kind of dicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just heard that so much. I was like, does he act? Because if he did, it'd be like, I mean, he does. He's a really uncomfortable human being. You can tell he doesn't. And there's just some people who don't want to be around other people. That's him.
Just real quick, we'll get to the tomato meter here in a moment. Has anyone in here seen Silicon Valley?
Yeah.
HBO.
I've heard it.
He kind of reminds me of Richard Hendricks, the main character.
I'm still surprised.
Did you see the episode with T.J. Miller's when Eric's gone now or whatever? Where the guy took over the...
Jin Yang?
Yeah. God, such a good episode.
Anyways, it's
this
brilliant.
Is my incubator now.
This is
all
their shit's out on the street. I'm like, what the fuck? Anyways, it's brilliant. All right, so who wants to do tomato meter for us?
You guys want to go at each other?
I don't. This is your tomato meter. This is the special request. Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
I mean, I've seen basically
super duper. I guess then you should be the moderator then.
Literally from Walk Tall on. Yeah, I can moderate.
Was that his first one?
That wasn't the first
Scorpion
one.
King,
sure. Scorpion King was his big break.
Shut the fuck up, was it?
I'm pretty fucking
Because
sure.
then they did a spin-off of it. We'll find out. Can I use someone's laptop so it doesn't pop up on here? Is that cool?
Oh, yeah. Can you use yours since mine's recording?
I guess I can also look it up on my phone.
That too.
No, there we go.
Okay, so I don't even know how many. Can we just do like one fast movie he's been in, even though he's not going to be in them anymore?
No, he might.
Oh, he
might.
might.
We want to do 5 movies?
Yeah, let's do 5.
Okay.
Yep.
And let's include Rampage.
Yeah, let's include Rampage.
We'll
end on Rampage.
You want to end on Rampage?
Yeah, that
it's better.
Giant.
Well, let's start. Have you guys seen Walk Tall either?
Yeah, I have.
It's the one where he's a sheriff, right?
Shit. And I forget the dude he's with. The
Johnny
American Pie. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's Johnny Knoxville.
Oh, it is?
You're thinking
about The Rundown.
The Rundown.
Thank you.
Well, that'll be our next one with Christopher Walken. Okay, Walking Tall. We messed that up. People used to walk tall in this town. Yes, they did, Dwayne.
Okay. Yeah.
This is when he was still the Rock.
Man, these movies are shit. I mean, they're good, but they're not.
They're action ones.
They don't have high.
I hated how
even by action movie standards, these are.
Yeah.
It wasn't him in these movies that made them even remotely work.
Yeah. Walk Tall.
Yeah.
I'm going with 48.
62, 48. Walk Tall, 26%. It is rotten.
Okay. So we're shooting for 50 Shade levels here, huh?
You were both terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do the rundown.
All right.
Rundown.
I kind of like this one. I just liked.
It might not be on.
It's on there.
Fuck. In that case, low.
29.
I'm gonna go with 35.
Okay, one second. I think I have to look up his name. I think we're messing up the title again.
Okay. It's The Rundown.
I tried it, and I was a Tom Petty documentary.
Oh. Interesting. What else has he been in that's been...
I'm just going to go to this page.
That's fine.
Oh, Tooth Fairy. We should do the Tooth Fairy.
We have Baywatch
Or
too.
The Game.
Moana.
Or The Game Plan. The Game Plan's a good one too.
Hercules.
They're
we should go. I think we should go at least 10 movies.
Okay, 10
There's
movies.
so many good
That's
ones.
fine. We got
The Rundown. He plays Beck. What do we have?
I said 35. Yep.
Soren wins 70%. It is certified fresh.
Certified fresh.
How does that make sense?
I don't know.
Walking Tall and that movie are literally the same fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but The Rundown and Christopher Walken.
Okay.
That's the difference maker. They were back to back. I think that's why Walking Tall was so similar, but then bombed. God, there's so many guys. We could do literally 20 movies and you would have seen them all.
Do Tooth Fairy.
Let's start with his first movie appearance. Okay.
Which was what?
The Mummy Returns. The Scorpio King. Remember, this one does have Brendan Fraser.
Mm-hmm.
It's a legitimate Mummy movie.
That's because the Mummy movies were.
Was that when he was getting sexually assaulted? Or?
No, this was before.
Before? Okay.
Yeah. Way to bring us up, Soren.
Sorry. Why am I apologizing?
Always
try and keep it real.
You have 0 wins.
65.
The Mummy
Return.
Dose. This one had. Did this one even have Benny in it?
Yeah, it did.
Did he come back?
You said 65?
Yeah.
I'm going with 74.
It is rotten. It is 47. Scores 1-2.
Okay.
Do we want to do the Scorpion
King?
King?
More. I like the Scorpion King. I fucking love the Scorpion King.
Man, that's a bad movie.
It is a bad movie.
It's 1-2.
It's a 31%.
No. It's gonna be like a 65.
Really?
Yes.
He's wrong.
Would you say 65?
65.
Oh, not even close. Scorpion King, 41%. It is rotten. It is now tied 2-2.
Okay.
Doom, the movie.
Well, I don't even remember that one.
Oh, shit.
Doom?
Yeah, I do. Was this the one where he went to space? There was like a weird gate. And like, I know.
The other big actor.
They're teleported, right? They're teleported to some place. Oh my god!
He's not even the main character.
And he ends up going bad, right? He
really gets infected.
Yeah, he gets infected.
He's Sarge.
18%.
Oh,
18.
Yeah, I'm going with like 32. I'll go with 32.
It's 19%.
Oh my god! Yeah,
it is that 3-2.
That was so bad. That movie was so bad.
I'll give you some options for the next one because there's so many movies he's been in. I've seen them all. Gridiron Gang. The Game Plan.
That was a great movie.
Get Smart. Tooth Fairy. We'll pick one of those 4.
Whoa.
One of those 4.
Get Smart.
You want to do Get Smart?
No, not Get Smart. No, that was Steve Carell and Tina.
He was Agent 23. He was the.
Oh, he was.
Super,
yeah.
We'll do Get Smart by itself. But do you guys want to do Tooth Fairy out of his football movie?
and then did you see Gridiron Gang?
I don't remember.
That was the football one where it was like.
He doesn't remember the movie.
It was such a good one. I'm pretty sure. No, I cried in Coach Carter.
Wait, no. Tooth Fairy, he was a hockey player, wasn't he?
Yes.
Because the Game Plan, he's the football player.
Yes.
Same movie.
Same movie.
Okay.
Different. In one, he's the Tooth Fairy.
He plays Derek.
He's a dad.
Derek.
So Tooth Fairy, I know that played on Disney Channel for a long time. So
high standards.
25.
42.
You have really low opinions of Disney Channel movies, but it wasn't 18%, so you're actually accurate. It is tied 3-3.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. We'll do the other guys because
fuck yes.
He's not really in it. It's not really a rock movie, but aim for the bushes, guys. Here we go.
What is this, Will Ferrell?
No, that doesn't. No, it should just be where he stars because they died. They died immediately in the movie.
Aim for the bushes.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's right.
Him and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, they were like, we're gonna jump off this.
You guys caused like $10 million of damage for like $50 of weed. Was it worth it? Why don't you ask the drug addicts if it was worth it or whatever they said?
That movie is really funny.
It's one of my Desk Pop is one. I still close Desk Pops.
Desk Pop.
September of 2001 is the last time I did it. Yeah.
Desk Pop.
Okay, we'll do the first Fast and Furious movie he was in. Fast 5. Just a little fun fact real fast. He was in a movie directly before this called Faster, where he was a driver.
Oh, of course.
Completely unrelated.
Well,
but Fast 5.
He was pretty good in that one because that was the first introduction of his character.
That was
and he ended up.
That's where he's hunting them down.
Yeah, he let him go at the very end too. He was like.
That's where character development. Yeah. God, the Fast.
But then like the next movie, he was like still trying to go after him, but then like he switched much quicker. Yeah.
37.
Oh no, Fast 5. It's gonna be more like a 65.
It says 77.
Yeah,
it is
70.
actually certified fresh. Fast 5 was the was the
you
first
clearly
one.
don't remember how crazy everyone loves
Because
it.
Fast 4 was where they're like, maybe we should just do more action movies, and Fast 5 they're like, let's get The Rock.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm bad at this.
They literally, there's a whole scene.
There's so many
It's
movies.
the worst. Okay, what I love about Fast and Furious is that it's street cars and it's racing and it's underground bullshit. Mm-hmm. In Fast 5, they went to Mexico and they just drove across a flat plain for like probably 5 minutes because it's a super cool scene where they have to go through a mountain. But literally, you just watch them just drive these beautiful cars across.
That's the first time they did like the cutting
nothing.
from person to person. Is it 3-4 now? Yeah. We might be. Thank God they can listen and track it.
Whoever wins by 2 before we hit.
Do you want to do 10. Journey 2 or G.I. Joe Retaliation?
Ooh, G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
Because I forgot he was in.
Wait, Retaliation. That's the one where he dies.
I don't know. Right? I don't think I saw Retaliation. I saw the first one.
The first one's not listed on his movies though. Is Retaliation the first one?
No.
No, right?
No.
That's the one where
Channing Tatum on his own, I think.
Yeah. Huh, it's weird they skipped the first one. It's such a good movie.
12%. 12%. It's a bad fucking movie.
Retaliation, 12%. I'm going to go with 30. Yeah.
30,
20. 20. I'm going with 20.
It was 29.
Okay.
These are bad movies.
I don't... You know what? For being such
18%.
For being such a big star, really, you know, I can count on my hands the number of movies that have been fresh from him. Jumanji was 76. I know you guys hated. Fate of the Furious, Moana, Central Intelligence, Furious 7,
Central
Furious
Intelligence
6,
was fucking nuts.
Furious 5, the other guys, and then The Rundown. Like, there's so many movies here. Okay, can we do, I have 2 very personal favorites here.
Okay.
First is Hercules. I love the Hercules movie. I thought it was awesome.
51.
The Hercules movie.
It was just called Hercules.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
It was
totally
the one where they're like,
did
don't believe the myths of... Like, basically, it was all don't believe
actually,
the stories.
During the time, there were 2 Hercules movies.
There was.
And the other one bombed.
Yeah.
Worse than this one.
This one was bad.
This one grossed $60 million compared to the 240 Fast 6
Yeah,
did.
I'm going to go with 40.
It was 59.
Yeah.
And this is... I'd say you guys are going to lose a lot of respect for me if you've seen this movie. Top 5 all-time best movies that I love the most is...
Oh, God.
Pain and Gain.
That's a good movie.
Hey, I love Mark Wahlberg, so...
sometimes I'll listen to motivational videos. The opening of this movie plays in like half of them, and you would just never know it's from this movie. Yeah. It's the most motivational movie I've ever seen.
82.
I'm going to go with like 60.
It's 50.
Yeah.
Whoa, that movie was not received well.
It wasn't received well, but it was actually really fun.
It netted less than half. It netted almost a third of what G.I. Joe did.
And that's why Mark Wahlberg is currently in...
San Andreas tripled it. San Andreas. What? Same rating, tripled it. He brings in money is the thing I'm learning.
Yeah.
He doesn't bring in ratings, but God, does he bring in money.
That's because he's fucking like a beefcake.
And then Moana's a 96. That's
just put him on there.
Sense, yeah.
And then you put him beefcake in animated version and make him sing.
We should probably do Rampage.
Oh,
yep,
we didn't do
Rampage. Oh, let's do Moana, then let's do Rampage.
He just said 96.
Ah, shit. Moana was really good.
Let's do Baywatch and then do Rampage. Baywatch.
Okay, Baywatch.
I've lost track of score.
Zac
I just love
Efron
The Rock.
I'm pretty sure I'm losing.
I think
I got the last one.
I think you're...
Well, we have 2 left. We'll make it whoever gets... I think I'm up by 1.
I think you are up by 1.
I got distracted by how...
So we got 2 left. We got Rampage and we got what?
Baywatch.
Baywatch had Zac Efron.
Yes.
Didn't have any women that I think were...
I think that's... The girl who played CJ, I thought was like well known for like modeling not fully clothed.
But, well...
Was why people knew her and went to go see her. I remember articles about
I just know they didn't have like a big actress.
Spoiler alert.
I mean...
We'll let Soren go first on this
35. I think Baywatch
47.
was sexy.
47.
But sucked. Shut the fuck up. It's going to be like 60-something.
It's 18.
Oh, good.
I thought it was hilarious. But
humanity.
How did you not see that coming?
Humanity.
There's like a 3-minute scene where the guy's penis is stuck in a chair.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, though.
It's
hilarious.
I didn't see the movie, so I was
But it's a 3-minute scene about his penis and he's stuck. in a chair.
The time I went to go see
Sticking with this phallic theme.
I went to go see it, and we were in the movie theater, and we get to like the very end of it, where like everything's about to be resolved, and then their like projector blows up.
Yeah.
And then so we wasted.
You missed nothing.
Over an hour, and then we didn't even get to see how this fucking resolved.
Did you guys demand a free ticket?
Was that the $2?
Okay, I was gonna say I like to go in like, hey,
was that the $3 theater now? Or was that the...
That was...
Every time something goes wrong, I'm just the guy who's like not going to push it, but I'm like, hey, I was in that movie and the sound cut out for 10 minutes. Like,
all right.
Oh, do you want a free ticket? Yeah. Yeah, sure, okay.
All right.
I know it doesn't cost you anything.
Last movie starring Shiny DK.
He plays Davis Okoye. It's an albino...
It's
you know what?
Shiny Pokemon.
Rampage is a
DK,
timeless classic of Nintendo 64, so don't even start with me.
I'm rolling my eyes so hard.
I think it's American.
Of course he does.
It's America Godzilla.
Yeah.
76.
Ooh, yeah, he's famous now. And everyone loves him.
And a lot of Kevin Hart movies.
And he's in a lot of Kevin Hart.
Central Intelligence did okay for him.
Yeah, I figured.
70% for that one.
Uh-huh. So this one's gonna I'm gonna put it up there with the greats. We're going with like an 81.
Dude, it's 50.
Oh,
you just said how bad it was bombing.
I got it.
Jesus.
I got it.
You did?
Did you win?
I think so.
I don't think so.
I think as moderator, I'm supposed to keep track too.
Yeah, you fucked up.
Guys, I was so excited with how bad all of his movies were.
You do really like The Rock, so this
we'll have to go back and...
This was a...
Ballers, the TV series, has a 68. Star Trek Voyager, he played champion in it. So I'm giving him credit for carrying the franchise in the one episode. 76% to Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
I've been watching Next Generation. It's pretty good, but Voyager's bad.
God, I would, if you showed me this guy's Rotten Tomatoes game, maybe he's a really good actor in really bad movies because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
or maybe
8,
he
9,
exclusively
10, 11,
acts
12,
in bad
13,
movies.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 rotten movies. 21.
But the way his triceps, bulge in those...
They make up for that rotten score.
God, they do. He brings in the money.
Hardcore, healthy body. Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
Do you need some albuterol?
Yes, please.
I like that format of Rotten Tomatoes. I like picking an actor.
Yeah, it's good.
We just need to pick up the movies. There's so many options.
That's true.
Next one we should do when does Star Wars drop? When the Solo drop? Isn't that soon?
My birthday.
Your birthday?
Don't tell them what it is. What's my birthday?
I don't know when your birthday
You're a
is.
terrible friend.
When's my birthday?
Okay.
March 8th.
No!
That's Abby's
Now,
Three Kings Day.
Now, let me just say, what was really funny about this exchange is that he looks at me and says, "Don't tell him." I'm just like,
I've known you since I was a week old baby.
I don't mean shit.
Since I dated your sister in 6th grade.
So, anyways, your birthday. Yeah,
May
when is
25th.
your birthday? May 25th.
Don't act like it's
perfect.
Memorial Day this year. Don't act like you care. You want to know when
Fun.
Solo came out.
So,
You use me.
the week before, the tomato meter of that one should be Harrison Ford movies. Because he also has a shit ton of actually good received movies.
I'd say about 40
2 weeks
minutes from
before that.
Seattle. I'll be in Gig Harbor.
2 weeks before.
Apartment number. I'm not going to say it on the
Yeah, that's probably smart.
Facebook.
That's okay. They just need some very minimal information to figure out where you're living.
Said
So.
40 minutes away from Seattle. Go.
Oh, they already know.
Yeah, they found it.
God.
The thing I learned about Seattle is everything out there is 40 minutes away from where I'm currently standing.
Okay.
Everything. Okay.
All right, folks. Well, it looks like that's it for PodSpill number 11. All right, thanks.
Give us a theme song, Swan.
Doot, 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 doot.
Boo!